And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. It is a Tuesday post Labor Day, September the 6th, 2022. Back for another episode of the show here. My buddy Nick Canizales back in the saddle as we get ready for another great show today here on the Backstage Pass presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. If you haven't checked them out, you're missing a good drink out there. EasyLiquor.com is the best way to go to get that bottle. Also, Hank Jr. Productions and our friends over at MitchMacs.com, which are getting their site back up and ready again, the official merchandise provider of the show here. Back with Nick, and we're live on the YouTube channel and, of course, at the sportsguys podcast.com. Of course, you guys know this show. You know, we do a lot of music on there and feature a lot of artists here on the show. It's always great to get back to that sports guys aspect, right, Nick? It's good to talk sports here.
No good about that.
I'll do that for the next half hour.
It's exciting. This is going to be fun here.
Please welcome in ARCA race car driver. She's a female race car driver, and I love just saying that because she's been doing this for quite a while. Taylor Ferns to the program. Taylor, how are things going?
It's going well. Thanks, guys, for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you. And I actually just dipped out of class here. I'm in law school, so I had secure transactions going on right now. So just got out of class to chat with you guys, but I'm looking forward to the conversation.
We saved you from that class, so that's a good
thing
right there.
No, you did.
Get back in there. Well, let's talk about this too a little bit. The racing itself. Talk about this. I mean, being from Michigan, hometown, I believe, small town up there. Talk about just the attraction to it, because obviously in a male-dominated sport, which it is now, of course, you're seeing a few more females get in there since Danica Patrick kind of broke that barrier there and kind of showed that a woman could be a successful driver on that circuit. Talk about just your attraction to it and what kind of, what fed your fire to get involved in this thing called racing?
Yeah, so I grew up in a racing family. My two uncles on my maternal side raced late models and did some ARCA stuff before I was even a thought. And so kind of on that side of the family, like Daytona 500 parties were kind of like Super Bowl parties for us. And so I just always knew since I was a young girl, like 4 years old, that I was going to end up doing something in racing, being involved in it somehow. And I sat in a quarter midget for the first time when I was 6 years old, and I sat in the car for like an hour and they had to pull me out because I just didn't want to get out. So, I've been hooked ever since. I've been racing for 20 years now, kind of gone up the ladder, so to speak, from quarter midgets. I race 600cc micro sprints. We're just a tad bit bigger than the quarter midgets, a little bit faster, and I race those on the dirt. And then I started getting into the USAC arena, racing the midgets, the sprint cars, the USAC Silver Crown cars, while also dabbling into the late model scene. And then that's when I did some of the ARCA racing as well. And then came back and raced wing sprint cars. And now I'm racing pavement sprint cars and USAC Silver Crown cars. So kind of jumped around a lot, but I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of great people, a lot of great teams, a lot of accomplished individuals. And Lynn St. James, who is one of the pioneers for females in motorsports, has been one of my mentors since I was 12 years old, has been a huge influence and has had a major impact on my career. I'm still involved with her now in the Women in Motorsports North America group, which kind of entails like 30 to 40 like major names within motorsports to kind of progress females further within motorsports, which I think is important because for me growing up, even though some people see me and like, yeah, with my gender, I am a quote unquote female race car driver, but to me mentally, I'm just a race car driver. Like when I get into that seat of that race car, I'm no different than the guys lining up next to me. And I feel like I can be just as a fierce competitor or just run it just as well as they do, if not better. So I think it's important that the proportionality of females within the sport grows, but also that we're competitive. So it's just not a gimmick, right? Like I don't think it's important to have girls at the track just to be like, oh, I'm a female and I'm starting this race, and like their talent's kind of subpar to what else is on the track, you know? So that's kind of been a passion of mine and something that I've been able to help with Lynn St. James and Beth Peretta and others within our Women in Motorsports group.
Taylor, I mean, your resume is pretty impressive. I mean, the youngest female driver to win a sprint car race, the first female to win USAC midget and sprint car races and multiple tracks, and second female to ever win a USAC championship. The list goes on and on. What does that say about you and the dedication to your sport? And this is something that, I mean, you have to, it's not something that you can just, jump in and, say, hey, I'm going to go do this and try to compete with the best of the best. It's something you have worked and you have, blood, sweat, and tears for many, many years to get to this level.
Yeah, I mean, racing's my passion. I dedicate a lot of time to it. Like right now, I'm 26 years old. I work full time. I go to school basically full time. And even when I'm done here, like I'll leave to go to the shop so we can set up my car for this race weekend. And I feel like you get out of things what you put into them. And like racing has always been my passion, has really always been my number one priority. Just because I believe so much in myself, but also the others that I work with, my crew chief, my family, my biggest supporters, 8-Trek Entertainment, who I've known Jeff Goodwin and Bill Harbin for a long time, but now we're officially working together and they believe in me. And so it's really important that you have that support system behind you, but I'm willing to go above and beyond to be great within this sport. And kind of build a legacy for myself, if you will, because I know how competitive I am as a race car driver, as a fellow competitor on and off the track. And that's just really important to me. Like racing, I have my YouTube channel. I try to stay on top of my social media as much as I can. And I'm involved in professional speaking engagements through Women in Motorsports North America. And so, but really the most important thing to me right now is just being competitive on the track, which I really have shown throughout the progression of my career, but especially throughout the season. I took some time off to go through undergraduate studies, through my master's studies. And, I mean, I feel like very few people could come back after taking the time off that I did and be as competitive and be as successful as I have been. And so, that's it's not a time to be proud because I still have more that I want to accomplish, but I think that's a pretty cool aspect of it.
When you look at one of the more prestigious ones out there, I love the fact that this was pretty cool. The Tulsa Shootout is a big race there. I think you finished in the top 10 with that one. Talk about that one, because that was always, for me, and I don't watch racing every week. I mean, I'll watch some of the big ones on the Sprint Car Series and things like that, and on the ARCA, things like that. But I love the fact is, because I'll always say this, drivers to me, race car drivers are athletes, no doubt about it is. I mean, everybody get in there and spend laps, going for whatever the mileage of the race is, and then, go close to 100 miles an hour and over that and be able to control a car. So to me, talk a little bit about just the getting behind the wheel. Was there nerves for the first time, even though it was a passion? And then two, that Tulsa Shootout's a big event, and congratulations on finishing in the top 10.
Yeah, thanks. So when I started racing, I know I always kind of like disregard the whole nerve aspect, but I feel like at the end of the day, like as a driver, it especially when you get to a certain level. I mean, there's probably some anxiousness, but I feel like as I've gotten older, I feel like that's kind of subsided, just because I've become more accustomed to it. But that really never goes away, depending on what tracks you might be at, or if it's your first time there, or if there's a lot of pressure on you or whatnot. But my dad used to always tell me, like, even when I started racing in quarter midgets, that I would never put you in something that you could hurt yourself in. And then obviously, like, as I went up the ladder and I started racing faster cars and whatnot, like, he stopped saying that. So, I mean, the risk that you're taking when you go out there. But my dad was also really big in telling me that if this person could do it, so can you. And so that's also like one of the big mental aspects for me too, because I'm really no different other than my gender, like than the other guys on the track. So if Cody Swanson can go out and win a bunch of Silver Crown races, so can I. So that's just kind of my mindset. But getting to the Chili Bowl, I mean, yeah, that was, or not Chili Bowl, Tulsa Shootout, which I guess kind of corresponds with Chili Bowl. But yeah, we made the A main my first time there. I was only, I think, maybe 10 or 11. And like, that's a big deal because they get so many cars, especially then. But I know now it's grown even so much more. But even making the A main there is like a huge deal. And then we finished in the top 10, which was really cool. I mean, obviously you always want to win, but I was literally still a kid, a preteen, made the A main my first time there. So that was kind of a good cap to the season that we had that year. I think that was like maybe 2007. But yeah, that was really cool because I feel like I ran well there when I raced the micros, and then when I started racing the midgets during Chili Bowl there, I feel like that translated over to my success there at the Chili Bowl as well.
Very nice. Now, I want to switch gears real quick because you mentioned that you are in law school and you got your bachelor's at Grand Valley State and the old Lakers, and then you're at Wayne State right now for law school. I mean, tell us a little bit about that, about the journey that you've been so far on this law school. And hey, listen, you got to have the brains, and you have both. You do it on the track and also in the classroom, and just how amazing has it been. Kind of accomplishing in the classroom and but also being in law school and how neat is that and how tough has that been so far trying to juggle both your professional life and your your school life here.
She freeze up there a little bit. Hopefully she froze up a little bit there, so we'll get a great question too. Like I said, and she's such a talented human being. I tell you, man, to be able to.
Yes, I mean that is. I mean, listen, we know that law school. First of all, being a professional athlete, and then also having the grades, going to law school. That is, I mean, it's amazing. You got to be super, super smart, and it looks like she's got the brains and everything else, and just very talented, a very well-rounded individual. Here she comes. Let's see if we can get her on here.
All right, we got her back here too as well. Taylor Ferns again here on the backstage pass. We got her back. Oh, there we go. There she is. She's back with us now. Hope she can hear us there. Yeah, we lost you there for a second. There? So we are here.
No, you good. Taylor, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit.
Oh, just a little bit there. Yeah, I hear you just a little bit there. I know the signal's a little bit kind of coming in and out.
Might be in a dead spot here.
Yeah, it's a little bit distorted from where she's standing. I'm hearing her audio come through, just the picture's not consistent right now too, definitely. So but I can tell you this, she gives back, and I think one of the things I wanted to ask her too was about mentoring younger girls in racing too. And she mentioned that Women in Motorsports North America and the professional speaking engagements. I wanted to ask her about that, and definitely what are some of those common things that or questions that she gets as a speaker, and some of the common things that she says to mentor young girls that are interested in racing too at the same time. So definitely love to get her back on here, and like I said, see hopefully get the audio coming back up there. It's Taylor Ferns, ARCA race car driver. You can check her out at taylorferns.com. And more information there too. She's just a great, and like you said too, it's pretty cool to do the athlete side and the academia side too.
That's it. It's the main thing, and it's going to take her. If whenever she wants to retire from racing, she's got a law degree to fall back on. And I'll tell you what, she can do anything and everything. Like we tell our kids, I tell my kids all the time. School comes first, your studies. That's going to get you far in life, because being a professional athlete or collegiate athlete, it only goes so far, and you're just one injury away from it being taken away from you. So you got to have something to fall back on. So, like I said, we're super happy for her, and hopefully we can get her back on here.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm going to take this opportunity to do a little promotions. The show was great this week with Chris Cagle and Andy Griggs. So thanks to everybody who came out there to be a part of that show with Full Circle Moments. Merlene Cox, great job on that show. So thank you for being a part of that. We had a great time out there. Let's see if we can get Taylor back here on the show. There she is. I think she can hear us hopefully now with the audio side. Can you hear us, Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. We can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I walked all around the school, turned my Wi-Fi on and off. Who knows?
Hey,
well, we'll do the best we can with it.
Internet access, it's always something. It's always something, especially that's just the world we live in now. No, but I was going to ask how are you juggling your professional life and then right now going to law school? How's that going?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it is a lot, but I've kind of mastered overlapping everything. So I know if I have to drive to Indiana to run a bunch of parts runs and I have meetings lined up all day, I'll just drive down there while I have meetings so I can do it from my car. So I guess that's the blessings of COVID, right? So luckily my work is really accommodating as far as if I need to go out of town, if I can work remotely, or work from our motorhome or toter home, if you will, while we're driving. So that's really nice. I just started classes back up last week. So the law school kind of puts restrictions on how many classes you can miss. So I kind of have all my classes planned out as to when I'm going to be present and not present. So, I mean, it's just I feel like I'm in the circus, like a master juggler, but we make it work, right?
Hey, talk about giving back, being a professional athlete and doing what you do. I know you're passionate about racing. You're also passionate about mentoring younger girls who are interested in getting in a male-dominated sport. Tell me why, and also too, just being able to give back as a professional athlete.
Yeah, I think it's something that's important because I have garnished so much knowledge throughout the years working with Lynn St. James, and I was in her women in the Winter Circle Academy, and I started doing that at such a young age. I mean, they taught us nutrition, the physical aspect, our fitness, the mental aspect. Like we worked with Dr. Jacques Telaire, who is kind of a higher profile athlete psychologist, if you will. And so I learned a lot of stuff from so young. I would like to pass that on to the younger generation. So I kind of started doing these workshops. I'm working with a younger gal, Katie Hettinger. She's coming up through the late model scene, and is doing really well for herself. I told her, I was like, she reminds me of a little mini me, just because of the way her attitude is and how much she's passionate about racing and like what she wants to do within the sport. And so, I think it's important to pass on that knowledge because I've had the opportunity to be exposed to so many different elements, and just kind of give recommendations, and it's kind of up to them if they want to take it or leave it. So, I think that's been really cool.
Back in 2010, you won the prestigious, I can't even think, the Kara Hendrick Award. How special was that, winning that award?
Yeah, so that was really cool. It's one of my fonder memories. I remember sitting there, and we're in a room with Mike Helton, Ray Abraham, Aaron Crocker, like a lot of the big wigs, right? And we're at Daytona. They did the ceremony in the Daytona 500 Experience building out front of the Speedway, and they were about to announce who was gonna win, and I was obviously curious who I thought I was going to get it that year because, I mean, Danica Patrick has won it. I'm pretty sure Sarah Fisher, Melanie Troxel, like a lot of high-profile females in motorsports. And I was, I think, 13 at the time. And then they popped up on the display. They had made like a video montage of some of my races from that year. And it was definitely more of like a surreal moment because I was not expecting that whatsoever. I don't know if it was just because my age, because I was so young. I was an early teenager. So, I mean, that was really cool. My dad was able to be there and witness that. And just a very memorable moment, especially to be added to the list of all the other gals who won that award.
Growing up, I wanted to ask you about just idols in racing too. I mean, obviously, Danica's out there. You mentioned a great host of other females who have changed the way motorsports is seen now, from all different aspects and all different series out there, ARCA, Sprint, and so forth. Was that kind of it for you? I mean, obviously you mentioned about growing up in a racing family, but were there other male drivers that had the influence too to kind of give you that itch to get behind the car?
Yeah, I'd definitely say some of the male drivers that I looked up to growing up was always Tony Stewart because I loved his attitude and like his expression. You could tell his passion for racing. Lynn, obviously, like aside from being a mentor of mine, was a really big influence and someone that I looked up to. I think for me, growing up and coming up through the sport, I always got the common comparison, like, oh, you want to be the next Danica Patrick, and you have to, in ways, respect what she did for the sport. But I mean, it is interesting and is a different experience being a female in motorsports. So I respect what she did for the sport. It obviously like expanded the horizons in ways for younger females to come up through the sport. And she had some success, obviously, at the IndyCar level, and then when she switched over to NASCAR. But I did look up to her when I was younger much more than, not to say that I look up to her less now, but yeah, just different variations between like Lynn, Tony, and there's a few others for sure.
It's crazy. We're already in September, almost mid-September. Year's winding down. 2023 on the horizon. What are some goals for you that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, so A-Trek Entertainment has come on board. I signed with them just a few months ago, so I'm excited to work with them going forward.
Congratulations.
Hopefully we can get, thank you. Hopefully we can get enough sponsorship funding to do the full USAC Silver Crown schedule in 2023 and go for a USAC Silver Crown championship. We've had a lot of success within that division, especially this year, which is not even my first full season back, but last year was my first season back in 7 years, and we ran 2 races. This year I'll run 5 or 6, and we've already had 2 podiums. So I think next year we're going to give the contenders a run for their money and see what we have for them. But in addition to that, running my non-wing payment sprint car as well. And then I've also had the opportunity to go down to Florida at least once now, but I'm hoping to go down there more and race a wing payment sprint car as well. So that'll be pretty cool.
I'll tell you what, your resume is phenomenal. I love having you on this show. Love talking just racing. It's kind of nice to do a full sports show and kind of take a day off from music. I tell you, it's just I love my music shows, but I love the sports shows. Nick will tell you, always good to get someone of her caliber and her talents here on the show. We're going to take a quick time out. More with Taylor Ferns here. It is the Backstage Pass, again, live on the YouTube channel. Of course, the sportsguyspodcast.com. We'll come back and talk about some of the fun stuff, what Taylor likes to do away from racing, and get into a little rapid fire segment. Also want to ask her about the Sam Bernstein Law Firm, which is one of her big primary sponsors of her race cars, and talk about that. We'll come back, time out for our sponsors, more here on the Backstage Pass with Taylor Ferns. So stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on the show again, Nick Canizales alongside our guest today, Taylor Ferns, ARCA race car driver. And I wanted to ask you about this too, as we about 5 or 6 minutes left in the show. I don't want to keep you out of class too long. I definitely want you to get back. And the professor going like wagging his finger at me or bringing out a ruler and trying to hit me through the screen here. The Sam Bernstein Law Firm, talk about this, the primary sponsor of the race cars. I mean, obviously you mentioned law student there. The goal is, I know you're working in with that law firm and the kind of the operations side of things. Tell me how that's going and just what their support means to you as a female race car driver.
Yeah, for sure. The Bernsteins, are great people to work for and work with. They're obviously a really prominent name, not only within the Metro Detroit area, but the state of Michigan itself. Richard Bernstein is a justice on the Michigan Supreme Court. And then Mark and Beth Bernstein are the managing partners of the firm. Obviously, their father, Sam Bernstein, was the founder of the firm, and we've been open for just over 50 years now. I've worked for them over 4.5 years in an operations director role. And now, since I'm over halfway done with law school, I'm starting my transition into a legal role, which is also like perfect timing, giving me the ability to work more remote, which helps with my racing and my travel schedule and stuff of that nature, which has been really helpful. But the Bernsteins are honestly really great. They have really gotten into motorsports, and Mark and his family have actually really taken to the Formula One Drive to Survive series on Netflix. And so they try to correlate it over to my racing as well. Cause I mean, that is open wheel racing. I'm mainly concentrated on open wheel racing right now as well. So that's really cool. I think it's kind of helped them learn a little bit about what I go through, not only on the track, but off the track also, as far as like my fitness routine or how I eat, like my nutrition, so on and so forth. So they're super supportive, some of the best people to work for. I mean, they sponsor my race car. So that's really cool. And I'm really fortunate to run their name on my race car. So it's also got a lot of attention at the racetrack as well, especially people familiar with the Bernstein name. So I think it's been beneficial to them also. So
very nice. Hey, I know you're busy all the time with everything you've got going on. What do you like to do? What are some hobbies you like to do outside the track?
Yeah, well, I am really great at online shopping, which is not so great for my pocketbook, but I love going for runs. I try to, like, especially during the summer, I know with Michigan weather, I'll try to run outside as often as I can. Or when I spend a lot of time in Florida as well. So whenever I'm down there, I like to be outside as much as possible. But really just try to relax. I feel like I'm on the go so much. It's just like if I can just relax and take my mind off of things just for even an hour, which running gives me that ability to actually really do that. And then sometimes I'll try to work in some reading, not so much because now like my reading for case law for school kind of takes a lot of my brain concentration. But yeah, really like my pastimes are just like fitness. And like working on the workshops when I work with Katie, like I said, online shopping. So nothing really too exciting, I'm going to be honest.
All right. When it comes to those, everybody wants to do as best they can to the fitness side and eating right and all that good stuff. But if there comes to and we ask this to all the artists we interview here on the program too, when it comes to a cheat day, what's a cheat day like for Taylor Ferns when it comes to eating and drinking?
Yeah. I love pizza.
There you go.
That's my favorite food group.
It's my downfall too. Yeah.
Yeah. Pizza is definitely my go-to. I also am a sucker for dark chocolate. With like the sea salt caramel or caramel or however you want to pronounce it. So I would say that's probably my cheat. I don't drink pop or soda too often, but every now and then I'll get a thirst for some Pepsi. So
that's my brand of drink.
I'm not sponsored, but
neither am I, but I like some Pepsi over Coke. I'm not sponsored, but hey, Nick, maybe we get Pepsi. You never know.
Hey, maybe so. Hey, let me ask you this: dream vacation.
Ooh, Hawaii right now I think is on the list. That's what. Yeah. I try to, ever since I graduated from undergrad, I went to Europe as one of my undergraduate gifts. And then I went to Italy as, like through my master's program, I did like an MBA study abroad, and that was cool. We went all throughout Italy doing, like the Fiat Chrysler tours. So that was really cool. So I try to get over to Europe whenever I can. But I think definitely Hawaii is my dream vacation right now, or Bora Bora. That might be another one too.
Let me ask you: was the food in Italy it a little bit lighter than it is here in the States, or how was the food?
I'm gonna be honest. The food was great, but there is an authentic Italian restaurant that my family and I go to in Naples, Florida, called Molto Trattoria, and it's authentic Italian. Like 100, they import the food from Italy. And so while I was traveling throughout Italy, and we would eat at different restaurants, I'd be like, oh, not as good as Molto. So honestly, if you want some really great Italian food, Molto in Naples in Florida by far. But obviously, like you go all throughout Italy, like you're not going to have a bad meal, whether it's like just a lot of it is like mom and pop restaurants. So you really can't go wrong with anywhere you go in and sit down and eat there. But yeah, we're big fans of Molto, so that's why that was kind of like my threshold or my benchmarker, I guess, if you will.
I want to remember that too. Get down to Florida for spring training a lot for baseball, and Naples
Yeah.
is a fun area to visit. So I'll have to remind. And just you know, as Claire Cook, I know Claire very well. She's eaten at a lot of good places out there too. I love Claire, is a good friend of the program here, and a great member of your team. And she does such great work for 8-Track. At the same time, I told her today, send me some good restaurants where we can go dine in. So definitely that'll be top of my list. Nick kind of knows how much I love Italian food. We went out for pizza just last week, so it's one of those things to where you just can eat a slice and you keep going, or pastas or salads or bread, anywhere the carbs are. That's where I'm at too. All right, let me ask you this one. It's a little bit different than I've done with rapid fire. Well, I guess 2-part question here. We'll do a couple of these. One, since being up there from Michigan, down home Tiger, Detroit Lions fan, Detroit Tigers, was it for you growing up, or are there other professional sports teams that you pay attention to?
No.
Red Wings?
Yeah, so I'm definitely mainly a Detroit gal. Love all Detroit sports, with the exception of maybe the Lions. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
That is a hard buy, if you will. But I mean, you gotta support the home teams. I mean, I grew up. My dad used to take us to the Pistons games. We're big hockey people. We love going to the Red Wings games, Tigers games. The Lions, I mean, not so much, but we always try to rep the home team. So I don't know what other team I would root for outside of the Lions. But yeah, definitely.
I like that.
Detroit proud.
Detroit proud.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, we appreciate you big time. You know, like Brandon and I were talking earlier. I mean, to be a professional athlete and also to go to law school, absolutely amazing. And you're setting a great example for the young women, the young girls out there that hey, sky's the limit. You know, you can achieve anything, and what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And we just can't wait to see how far you take it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much. I appreciate chatting with you guys. It was fun. And sorry about the tech glitches. I don't know what. I don't know.
Look, that stuff happens.
Hey, I did want to ask you this before you go, because we do so much with music heavy here. If you were an artist, any genre of music, what artist would you be?
Ooh.
Or who would you be?
I would probably be, I listen to a little bit of everything, so I'd probably be some like country alternative crossover. I don't know. I'm a big Miranda Lambert fan. I love Miranda Lambert, but I also I'll go from listening to Miranda Lambert to Linkin Park to some Drake to just literally a little bit of everything. So
she's got flavor across the board, just like her taste in food, no doubt, and in racing too. You guys make sure to check out TaylorFerns.com for the race schedule, and of course more good things coming up as we end 22, going into 23. Hey, we appreciate the time. Good to get to know you, and hey, best of luck with your career endeavors moving forward. We appreciate everything you've done for the sport and for women in racing, and we look forward to doing this again, no doubt.
Yeah, thanks guys. It was great to talk with you. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Wish all the sponsors. I know she's got to get back to class. We'll see you guys tomorrow with Boomtown Saints here on the Backstage Pass. And, of course, Megan Patrick coming up here in a couple of weeks. And our good friend, Caitlin Smith from Sony Music. She's going to drop by, too, to talk about what's been going on in her camp, too. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 with Boomtown Saints. Until then, have a great night.